Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special episode of JXG Spotlight. Today, I have a guest with me to talk about him. I got a description about his profile. Well, I'm not going to read it out. I'm going to read out from my heart what I know about him and who he is. I met this character back in 2003, 2004, that era when I was a management trainee at one of the leading organizations. And there was a special program for leadership we've been involved in, and I meet this character, bullheaded, very dynamic, active as of now, even then back then as well. And truly, that was one of the turning points in my career. And this program has made a huge impact from not only for me, but for most of the people who have been through these programs, through his programs. And I had the privilege of going through his programs a couple of times in my career. So, without further ado, let me introduce Mr. Rukmal De Silva, well known as Ruki De Silva. Ruki, welcome to JXG Spotlight, and the spotlight is on you.
Thank you, Gamika. Thanks for inviting me for this program.
Pleasure having you. Ruki, your formal introduction, I mean, there was a profile. I promised myself I'm not going to talk about it, but you have multiple disciplines, Ruki. I mean, you were a marketer and you were an IT professional. I don't know whether it's on the software or the hardware side, but I know that you were into IT. Then you became a consultant, a business strategist, and at one point of your career, you were driving innovation across organizations and business transformation. Um, how do we describe Rookie De Silva?
My early career was I was into marketing, and then though I was in marketing, I worked in IT companies. Though I was in marketing in IT companies, I got involved in all the system implementation. I was in software, and then I became accidental business analyst. And then I happened to get involved in organizations like World Bank, UNDP, USAID, and then I worked with them as a business consultant, IT consultant with them, and then worked in Mozambique, Jordan, South Africa, Laos, and even in Sri Lanka in a couple of those projects. And then I realized, look, doing those things is not my passion, not my purpose, not aligned with my values.
Right.
I was making a lot of money. Then at a certain point, I realized, okay, look, that I got to check this out, and then transitioned into becoming a trainer.
Okay.
So I did a mid-career switch. Then I became a trainer. So I leaving all that things aside. At that time, I was about 33 to 35. That I did a transition. Then, in the same time, I did classroom type of training, and then I became an outbound trainer. So I started Wild Rift. That's way back in 2001. And eventually, I brought back the consulting practice into training. Then I got myself aligned into some of the spaces like the innovation and the transformation space. So currently, I run two organizations.
Yeah.
One is Wild Rift, which has been there for the last 25 years, an outbound experiential learning arm.
Yeah.
The other one is 361 degrees, where we focus on the transformation, innovation, and change management, and then focusing on senior level leadership.
Leadership, yeah.
Yeah, so this is what I do. I know it's multiple hats.
Multiple hats, but if you have to describe Rookie De Silva, how do you describe yourself?
I'm an explorer.
Okay, fantastic. That's a very interesting archetype that we work on the brand as well. So, Ruki, taking our memory back to 2003, 4, where you and I first met when you did a program for one of the leading conglomerates where I was part. That truly, to date, I'm thankful for you for making that impact in my life, and I still remember the learnings. I mean, you have trained I don't know, thousands and thousands of people with your team through Wild Rift as well as 361 degrees. So Wild Rift, congratulations, completing 25 years, 2.5 decades of excellence and consistent delivery to corporates, and that's where the trust is built on. Take us towards your earliest memories on setting up Wild Rift. I'm sure a lot of challenges, a lot of fun memories, your partnerships, etc. So take us through that early stages of Wild Rift.
Uh, I should say Wild Rift was the Wild Rift, the beginning of Wild Rift was just just to have fun. Because I remember having some sort of a outbound training experience in South while I was in South Africa. I thought this must be something that I want to do. That was the time that I was looking for more of the meaning and purpose in life. Then I thought this must be something that I want to explore. And then I met a friend of mine who had a outfit who could provide the logistics,
Infrastructure, yeah. Okay.
infrastructure in Belihula,
Okay.
Anrudha, and then we pooled our resources together. He brought in the logistics and the adventure elements, and I
This is a
brought in the
Kinchigune.
Kinchigune,
All right,
yes.
okay.
So then I brought in the learning path into the training programs, and we created a brand called Wild Drift.
Yeah.
So there was no company, nothing. And then we thought, okay, let's do it. And then I was part of an organization called JCI. We thought, okay, let's roll it out. And then we experimented, worked out we did a program for 2 days for JCI, which was a success. Then we thought, okay, let's roll it out commercially.
Okay.
And then we started reaching out to many HR professionals, and we said, okay, we have something like this. By that time, there were two other similar outfits being in the market. So we were the third at that time.
Right.
So we started our first program for JCI in 2001,
Okay.
month of June, 13th of June 2001. And then we did couple of open enrollment programs. And then we got our first success for a corporate company that was for a company called Paxalanka,
Right, okay.
which was renamed as Everyday Incident at a Stage
Right, okay.
on 24th of November 2001.
Okay, fantastic.
So they said, okay, we want to try out you guys, and then if you guys are good, we will give you 10 more programs.
Okay.
And then during the lunchtime of the day 2, they said, okay, we want to work with you for the rest of the
Oh,
programs.
fantastic.
And I was trying. So that was the first breakthrough that we had.
Fantastic. So after that, I'm sure, like, many of the corporates and very almost leading brands have been working with you over the last 25 years. Ruki, I'm just like trying to focus on the outbound training. For me, I mean, we have discussed this over the last 2 decades or so. One is that some of the outward bound training brands or organizations have like vanished, non-existent. Some do bits and pieces. Some believe there's always a conversation saying that is it a fad, it's a nice thing to have, take the team out, have some fun, come back. Do you see real results, impactful transformative results? Okay, the question is twofold. One is like some of the brands have not existed who have brought in these concepts. The second part of the question is, do these programs have a real impact in changing lives and organizations?
Right. I see the question. There are two sides. A, what the outbound industry, the suppliers, my fellow competitors, what they're doing. How I see this is very easy to start a outbound or experiential training. So the entry barriers are nothing. So anybody who can speak, who can get something, they can come in.
Okay.
But what's missing in the industry is that ability to transfer activities. Anybody can do activities.
Yeah.
How can you ensure you run the activities, any experiential activity? Because we see there are a couple of people will say, okay, we have been in the military, so therefore we are qualified to be there. Yes, they are. And then some people, they come in, okay, we have the exposure to outdoors, we can come and do, yes, yeah, they are. But the impact happens not on the activity per se,
Right.
but on the capacity to link the activity to learning, that is on a debrief.
Yeah.
So the capacity to run a proper learning transformation via a debriefing session is critical. Now that's where the quality of the training happens.
Okay.
or it does not happen.
Okay.
So what matters is that most of the industry partners, whilst they have focused on the activity or the experiential side of it, they can provide a
fun part of
fun
it.
part of
Yeah.
it, the adventure of it, the water, the adrenaline rush. The buck stops there.
Okay. Okay.
So then the connectivity, so that the people had good time, people they remember very Instagrammable moments.
Yeah.
Done. You come back
Then what
to the
happens?
office.
Yeah.
So what?
So what? Yeah. You go back to your usual way of doing things, right?
Yeah. So now that's what ha- we have been from day one. Uh, Day one we have been focusing on. How can we make sure that we create experiential learning programs to deliver impact? We never positioned ourselves, we are fantastic in adventure.
Okay.
We never positioned ourselves, we are good in water. We can, no, we are fantastic in creating impact.
Okay.
So we always focused on developing trainers who are very good in transferring an activity into pretty good learnable insights.
Right. Right.
And then to making sure that those learnable insights are embedded into people's head
Yeah.
and into the heart. Now that's what we have invested in when it comes to our trainer pool.
Okay.
So it's not about what I do.
Yeah.
It's not about because of my company. Over the years, we build the company to operate without me.
Okay.
So that had been a
Model
that
yeah.
we innovated in Sri Lanka. Then now all the other competitors are following it up. I'm glad that they're doing it.
Yeah.
So everybody that we bring in, we made sure that we say our senior lead trainers, they are capable of managing the outdoor adventure, the safety, all that. Plus, they are good in delivering the learning component.
Experience. Yeah. Okay.
So that's the question to that's the answer to the question number
Yeah,
one.
okay.
Then the next thing is about how the organizations approach.
Yeah.
There are many organizations, they come to us, we'll say, okay, we need a team building program. So
Right.
we ask the question, okay, what do you want us to deliver?
Okay.
They say, okay, we need some bonding. We need the people to
bond,
bond.
yeah.
So that means that's yet a tick box. So now, so that means they're playing
Okay. Okay.
to the rest of the, okay, let's do something. So that becomes a fad. So we know it's a tick box program.
Okay.
So then there is nothing for us to go and strategically deliver.
All right.
But there are certain companies who are coming to us, Ruki, we have this issue. These are the business challenges that we have. What can you do? Then at that time we sit with the people, ask questions, we understand the real psychological challenges that they have, behavioral challenges that they have, organizational challenges that we have, and then we design the activities plus the learning discussion that has to happen around it.
Yeah.
Now, recently we did a program for one of the large FMCG companies. The whole focus of that program was about telling them and assessing and telling them whether in what are the areas they're strategically ready
Okay.
for their next level transformation.
Right.
We told them, okay, on these things you're ready.
Yeah.
On XYZ areas you're not ready at all.
Okay.
So we used the 2-day outward bound program or a team building program. Ultimately, it was not a team building program.
Okay.
But it was a more of a highly focused assessment center about the team.
Okay. Okay.
So it's all about how the customers can come and brief us and how we deliver and how they can take it after the program.
Ruki, that led me into a few other questions. I think it's critical that you get the briefing right. Sometimes the clients might come and say, okay, I need this particular thing done, or I have a problem. Do you go into probing in terms of finding the real need? Is that a success factor that Wild Rift has seen over the years?
So there are certain customers where they come to us with already diagnosed
Problems, okay.
They say, okay, look, these are the critical issues that we have.
Okay.
Then there are other customers, they say, okay, look, that means these are the symptoms that we see. We don't know what it is. Can you find it for
Right.
us?
Okay. Okay.
So if the scenario is the second one, then we go and probe in. So we have the tools to assess. And then we make certain assumptions to be validated in the program.
Okay. Right.
So we
Correct.
assume, okay, this is happening because of these scenarios. Now, for an example, we might say, okay, some of the senior managers may not be delivering the right messages to the bottom.
Okay.
Then our job is to see whether it's right or not.
Yeah.
Some of the senior managers may be putting their egos in front,
In front. Yeah.
than the company objectives. We go and see whether it's happening or not.
validate
So
it, yeah.
because that we can see those behaviors coming out in a program. So then what happens is that ultimately in any of these situations, the behavioral impact of the behaviors is about to see, okay, look, whether are these behaviors affecting the team.
Right.
So we have been using video feedback so that from day one on our first program 25 years ago, I remember we had this big
Camcorder, yeah.
Sony camcorder.
Yeah.
Now we have gone to the technology has changed so much. Now we use the phones.
Yeah,
We record what's going on so that we have the evidence of how people behave
Yeah.
in an activity.
And
Ultimately,
those debriefings are fantastic and fun, super fun with those footage. Yeah.
yeah. So the thing is, this is not about the video per se, but
Yeah.
ultimately here is the
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
This is how people behave, and this is what we did, and then why it is, and then do you have the same behavior affecting?
Yeah. At the work.
at
And
the work.
usually it's a reflection of your character and behavior back at office
Yeah.
as well. Very interesting. So, with regard to I think you mentioned a critical point. One of the salient or USP that you would have is your set of trainers,
Yeah.
right? Especially the senior set of trainers. How do you? I mean, I'm sure that the market challenges are there. How to find, how to retain them. How have you gone ahead with that?
So what we do is that we have, whenever the time that we run a program, there are people, they come and ask, okay, this is exciting, we would like to be
Be a part of,
it.
yeah.
So at the same time, that means there are formal ways that we recruit people.
Right.
So that we get people who are keen about becoming a trainer, we get in them to a pool, and then we have, over the years, we have developed a train the trainer program. It's a
Right.
very hands-on, so that we give them the exposure,
Okay.
we monitor them, we give them the feedback, and then we evaluate them on their competence level.
Yeah.
Can they do this? Can they do this? Can they do that? It is very much on a, every program will say that you go on a program and then you are given feedback.
Right.
And also that we have created a culture among the team. The seniors are expected to groom young
Okay.
people.
Okay.
So that is something that we consciously develop.
Okay.
So it's all about
So there's
this,
a feeder.
There's
Yeah.
a feeder.
Yeah,
So
okay.
because of the success is that, because that we can always say, we'll say, so you come back to me for a program, I will have new trainers to present to you.
Right.
Because it's not about, you will not see me or the same set of people.
People, yeah, doing it, yeah.
Constantly we can give you new faces because that's part of the evolution.
Absolutely.
Otherwise what happens is that you see the same faces, then you become stale.
Absolutely.
So and also when new people come into the mix,
Yeah.
that creates the different,
yeah.
flavor of the
program itself,
the
right?
program itself and
Yeah.
the experience.
Right.
But we make sure that what Wild Rift remains intact,
Yeah.
but the flavor can change here and there.
Absolutely.
So that we allow the trainers to bring their flavor into it
Yeah.
without damaging the total brand experience.
Okay. Ruki, with regard to one of the previous answers you gave in terms of making a impactful or transformative change, and I remember you were explaining this immersive learning experience. More often than not, I'm generalizing. It's not only for Wild Rift, but more often than not, some of those programs has an impact on people, but they go back to their usual scenario, the pressure in terms of work and peers and everything comes along, and you go back to your usual way of doing things. Why do you think that this happens constantly? I mean, like I have seen some places, but there are places which are evolved as well. What is your experience and explanation on that one?
What you're saying is very true, because that any training program, the impact of the training program creates a window of opportunity. People see, okay, look, there is a new way for me to see the world, new way for me to see my colleagues, a new way for me to see myself.
Yeah.
But this particular window has a
Very limited.
very limited. It's a fast moving
Okay.
window of opportunity.
Right. Okay.
Now, what the organization should do
Yeah.
is to lock these behaviors in.
Okay. Okay.
Now, that should happen with the commitment of that behavior locking mechanisms has to come in. Now, for an example, we'll say, okay, look, we need to ensure behavior A is changed.
Yeah.
So at that time, what is the mechanism back at the office to say, okay, look, that means you said that you do this, you will do this.
Okay.
Are you doing it?
And there needs to be a lot more commitment from the top most management, right?
So the
Yeah.
top management will say, okay, now you said that, are you doing it?
Yeah.
Now you said that you will be open. Are you being really open? And they're making sure that giving feedback and
Yep.
making sure that there is safe space for people to experiment with these new behaviors, making sure that they are positively motivated,
Reinforced
and
it, yeah.
also negative if they don't deliver that to demand, and we'll
Yeah.
say, okay, you charm me that you said that you will change, but you have
But
not
you're
changed.
not changed, yeah.
That pressure has to be there,
Yeah.
because that change happens provided that there is positive as well as negative motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think previously, one of the programs, I mean, my early stages in my career experience with you was a longer program. Outward Bound was just one part
Yeah.
of it. And there was so much of follow up that for over 6 months, the behavior was actually monitored, trained, mentored, coaching sessions were done, so that actually there was an impact, and those bonds that we made with those teams are still there. Do you see that organizations still move into more longer term programs,
Yeah.
or some of them are more shorter term mostly?
Mostly
Short-term
mostly
program.
short-term
Yeah,
programs,
okay.
but there are organizations who are doing long-term programs.
Okay. Another question I had was, generations are changing, and even in organizations, we see the aspirations, the values, all that are different. Especially when you have the younger generation joining in. Has any of these generational changes has an impact on training in terms of how they take the training and how they take part, and what's your experience?
Yeah, number one, there's always during the program, there's always challenge to with the focus, because at those days when
Yeah.
the younger people at that time, they were more focused
Yeah.
on the program than the
Attention
younger-
spans have
attention
narrowed,
narrowed down.
yeah.
So there is always a challenge to keep people focused.
Focused,
Now, that's
yeah.
number one.
Okay.
Number two, they're very judgmental. So they are very fast to give you the credit
Okay.
as the trainer,
Okay.
or else to
Shut down.
shut
Yeah.
you down.
Okay.
And then they are in the same time either, so due to these two things, either they are in
Or out.
or else
So
they are out of the
there's nothing
out
in
of the-
between.
there's in between. So
Okay.
that can happen. Either the dynamics can change
So
within the
rapidly.
program rapidly.
Yeah.
So that within the first 1 hour of the program, there's enormous amount of pressure on the trainer to set the tone.
Okay.
So that is critical. So once you set in, if you can lock them in and they see, okay, there is meaning in it, then they are in.
Yeah.
But if you don't get them in within the first couple of minutes to 30 minutes to 45 minutes,
Yeah.
then it becomes, you're duck now.
Then the whole program goes for 6, yeah? Right. Interesting. Ruki, 25 years, not a joke. Consistent delivery, keeping the clients happy. I haven't heard any negativities about your programs from any corporates I have dealt with. Describe the last 25 years. In your own opinion, and also probably I'll follow up with a question about where is Wild Rift heading from here onwards after the 25th year anniversary.
Um, I think 2001 to 2006 was more to do with, okay, at that time it was just, we were having fun, myself and my friend. We were not that serious. In 2006, then we decided, okay, look, let's bring other people in. We decided to scale up a bit. And then we started doing training. So it was all about myself and Anuruddha. We were doing training programs. And then we scaled up. And then in 2012, Anuruddha decided to exit from Wild Rift. And then I took over Wild Rift. And then we decided to change the brand under 361 degrees.
Right.
So then, by that time, we had a large number of, our team has expanded. We decided to scale up.
Okay.
So then we thought, okay, we need to do multiple programs. So from 2012 to 2019, 2020 was the golden years of Wild Rift, so that we scaled up. We used to run about 3 to 4 programs a weekend.
Okay.
So way back 2019 was the best year for us,
Pre-COVID.
pre-Easter bombing.
Pre-Easter bomb, yeah.
Easter
Okay.
bombing.
19, yeah.
So then the Easter bombings, there was economic dip.
Yeah.
COVID, I believe that's one of the saddest moments in my life. We had to shut down the company because nobody was doing anything, and then we had to let the team go.
Yeah.
And then we started doing online training, and then after COVID settled down, we decided to bring back the Wild Rift brand.
Okay.
So the Wild Rift brand per se is focusing on the team experiential learning,
yeah.
outdoors asset now.
Okay. Okay. Where are you heading? What's the future for Wild Rift?
Future for Wild Rift, this experiential learning per se, there's always, within the next couple of years, we see there's a lot of technology being involved in the activities.
Okay.
There's always the outdoor adventure nature element would be there.
Yeah.
But in the same time, it's not the out that will
Usual,
be there,
yeah.
but again, it is evolving into short, but there is some tech space coming in. And then how can we make sure that even within 1.5 hours to 2 hours, high impact, technology enabled training
Delivery happens.
programs
Yeah. Okay.
happening.
Very interesting.
And in the same time, we are venturing out into wellness space.
Oh, okay.
So that is all about bringing in the more of the physical,
Oh, interesting.
the emotional, spiritual wellness put
Fantastic.
together.
Fantastic.
Coming in, we will be launching out a program within the next 2 months,
Fantastic.
targeting both the B2C and the corporate sector.
Fantastic.
So that is a new set of
Brilliant.
new category of programs that we want to launch.
Fantastic. Ruki, also during your career, I remember in particular, you were really focused on innovation, how to drive innovation within organization. You did program simulations, and also I think you did further studies for yourself, right, on the innovation side of it. Talk us through that. I never got the opportunity to because I was focused on Wild Rift. Talk us about that as well.
Now, for me, if you ask who Ruki is, in my DNA, experimenting and doing new things has been in me. So
Challenge in the process.
Challenge in the process.
Yeah.
So my passion has been innovating, so that I have been learning about how to innovate, and then started helping others to innovate. So that has been my focus. And then, so within the last X number of years, that I have been focusing a lot on helping the organizations to innovate.
Right.
So I use some of the tools like design thinking to lean startup to design sprints to help organizations to innovate faster, cheaper, and more impactfully.
Are the Sri Lankan organizations ready to embrace?
This is the conundrum that I have. If
Okay.
you look at most of the mission statements, the vision statement, and the values of the Sri Lankan corporate sector, innovation is there in every.
It's
At least
already, yeah.
everywhere
Okay.
there. But yet again, if you look at the organizations, they are not ready to innovate.
So this is the challenge. I think I think the challenge is good so that people like you can keep pushing the organizations to drive innovation. That's what Sri Lanka needs right now. Organizations need
Yeah.
right now. Ruki, unfortunately, we are coming to a very tight corner in terms of timing. My team is giving me indications. One last question to wrap
Yeah.
up. What's your craziest memory on Wild Rift the last 25 years? I have many. I don't have time to explain all that, but maybe from your point of view.
I believe my craziest memory of Wild Rift is that as part of the team building thing, we accidentally moved into events.
Yes, yes, okay.
And then for one of the teams who came in pharma company, they came for a team building thing, and then at the end they wanted to do a
Award show. Yeah.
award ceremony, and then the awards after the award ceremony they said, okay, we need to do an event for a couple of doctors, can you do? Then
Okay.
we said, okay, let's do an avatar based
Right.
event. And then we did not know how to do an event.
Okay.
And then we undertook to do a massive 2-day avatar based event in Damula.
Yeah, okay. I remember seeing the visuals you showed me.
That was crazy because of scale and then the trust that they had on us. And then we did not know how to do event, but something that we undertook. But thank God it worked well. At that time, that particular company was nothing, but now they are within the top 3.
Fantastic.
Thanks to the event that we did. I believe that's one of the craziest things that we did. But
I'll pause you there. I think crazy from Ruki's definition, this is a very serious crazy. I'm sure there are so many memories. I'm sure during the next couple of weeks or so through social media, we should be able to see some of those crazy memories of Wild Rift because we have found fantastic memories down there. I can recall quite a few that, in a couple of organizations that I experienced with you. So, Ruki, thank you very much for joining us today. And I wish you and the entire team, Gihan, and I can't name everyone, but, the entire team, best of luck and, kudos and hats off for 25 years of excellent service, unstinted, and continue the journey, Ruki. Thank you very much.
thank you, Gamika, for inviting me and then having me here.
I'll be failing on my duties if I don't conclude this with the proper Wild Rift way. Before that, I think, hats off to Wild Rift. Those who have followed Wild Rift and being part of the programs, I'm sure most of you have a lot of memories. Please send it to Ruki so that it will reminisce the 25 years of excellence of Wild Rift and that immersive experiential learning that has an impact in organizations moving forward. By all means, as Ruki explained, outward bound training is not a fad. I mean, if you want to just tick a box, yes, it can, but certainly it has. And I can vouch for it, changing of my career and the bonds that I built within those senior management teams and organizations are completely different and the transformation is absolutely visible. So if you are ready for that, here's Wild Rift that you can, talk to the team and see what it's in store for you. Before I wrap up, so Ruki, we need to wrap up with the proper Wild Rift way. Let's do a Wild Rift cheer. 3, 2, 1.
Yay, yay, yay.
Thank you very much.